Israel is preparing for a war in Lebanon. Meanwhile, almost most leaders of the Hezbollah group have been eliminated by the Israeli armed forces. Meanwhile, the Iranian leadership are already in bunkers because they are afraid of the possibility of being eliminated by the Israel. Also, Kremlin has failed its counteroffensive in the Kursk region. Russian forces failed to liberate this region until the 1st of October. So what is going on the Middle East, and how did Israel manage to eliminate almost most of the Hezbollah's leadership and senior members of this group? The defense forces of Israel have announced the elimination of the leader of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah. The IDF reported this on Twitter this Sunday. Also, Nasrallah has been out of touch since the IDF announcement, and Israel managed to eliminate almost most of the leaders of Hezbollah. However, this leader has been eliminated because of the double agent from Iran help Israel to do so. Israeli armed forces have received intelligence about the place where the Nasrallah was based, and that's why Israel managed to kill him. This elimination has been conducted by the F-35 aircraft using the high precision bomb. The precision strike has been conducted in Lebanon, and now lots of military experts say that Israel is preparing to invade Lebanon, is preparing to conduct a big ground offensive in this region to try to fully eliminate Hezbollah as a terrorist organization. Also, this night Israel has conducted massive airstrikes on Lebanon, resulting in the elimination of another leader. This airstrike resulted in the elimination of the Hamas leader in Lebanon, and there are lots of experts saying that these are preparation steps for a full-scale ground invasion of Lebanon. Also, there are other reports that there could be a retaliation from Iran. However, Iran is still in restraint because would not like to suffer from another retaliation from Israel or its other allies. Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden will have a conversation with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Biden said that the full-scale war on the Middle East should be avoided. That's why he will speak with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. However, Israel seeks to continue its offensive and to launch the offensive operation in Lebanon, and is continuing its massive airstrikes on Lebanon to fully eliminate Hezbollah. And most of the leaders have already been decapitated. And Western analysts and military experts say that Hezbollah now is in the most weaker position than ever before. That's why Israel is in the more powerful position right now rather than Hezbollah even before. So that's why Israel would try to make its best and would try to go on the ground offensive inside the Lebanon. Meanwhile, Russian forces has failed their offensive operation in the Kursk region. Russian forces failed to successfully counterattack Ukrainians there. Bild reported that Russia's counteroffensive in the Kursk region has fully failed because Russian forces did not failed to repel Ukrainian invasion, Ukraine's offensive operations there. Bild reported that earlier Russian dictator Vladimir Putin ordered his troops to repel this attack, to liberate this region until the October 1st. However, Russian forces failed to do so. That's why Kremlin has established a new deadline for the Russian forces. Russian troops should conduct this operation, should liberate this region until the middle of October. But it seems like it would be really difficult for Russian troops to do so because Ukrainian forces have been redeploying, reuniting, and Ukraine has been redeploying even new troops, new units to the Kursk region to continue their offensive operation inside this region. Ukrainian forces continues continue to stay there and to repel Russia attack. Also, Ukrainian forces tried to cut off Russia's forces there. That's why Kremlin struggles to liberate its own land, to liberate this Kursk region. Also, US President Joe Biden said that Ukraine would win the war and would beat Russia, would prevail over the Russian aggression. That's what President Biden tweeted earlier during this week. President Biden said that the United States will provide Ukraine with all what is needed to help Ukraine to defend itself against the Russian aggression. Also, he said that Ukraine will prevail and Ukraine will win this war. However, actions speak louder than words. At the same time, President Biden says that he would like Ukraine to win this war. However, he still does not allow Ukraine to strike deep inside Russia with the long-range cruise missiles Storm Shadow or the long-range ballistic missiles ATACMS. According to the Times, President Zelensky returned to Ukraine after the end of his visit to the United States without the permission from the US to strike deep inside the Russian territory with US-made weapons. President Biden still hesitates to allow Ukraine to win this war, to strike with these weapons, because lots of analysts from the Institute of Study of War reported that it would be not possible for Ukraine to win this war without this authorization to use American weapons inside Russia. However, President Biden still hesitates to do so because of the fear of escalation. The New York Times previously reported that Biden administration believes that Russia could retaliate with a lethal attack if the West agrees to provide Ukraine with such authorization to use long-range strikes against the Russian soil. However, in the past, Russian dictator Vladimir Putin has been threatening a total war with NATO, even a nuclear war. However, all these Russian threats were hollow. They were empty threats, because Putin did not use nuclear weapons. He did not escalate. Previously, we also have heard the same threats for the Russian side about the possibility of a lethal attack on NATO countries. However, Russia hasn't conducted this attack yet, despite the fact that the West has provided Ukraine with tanks, armored vehicles, fire rocket systems, and other munitions. That's why Russian dictator Vladimir Putin is bluffing, and President Biden is buying his bluff. He is buying these threats. That's why he hesitates to allow Ukraine to win this war, to conduct these long-range strikes inside Russia. Also, at the same time, the Foreign Minister of the United Kingdom, David Lammy, said that this authorization could be provided to Ukraine before the beginning of winter. However, the United Kingdom and France support Ukraine's right to strike deep inside Russia. However, President Biden is blocking this decision and is remaining alone in his matter, remaining as a last obstacle for Ukraine to win this war, to strike deep inside Russia with Western-made weapons. Also, former commander of the US troops in Europe, General Ben Hodges, said that European intel community, European intelligence agencies have another intel on this matter. He said that Vladimir Putin would not use nuclear weapons, and he cannot escalate, because now he is escalating, he is doing it right now. That's why Putin cannot escalate more. That's why Ben Hodges says that the US should provide Ukraine with all what is needed for a victory and with long-range strike inside Russia if it wants Ukraine to win this war. That's why we all hope for the United States to allow Ukraine to strike deep inside Russia with Western-made weapons. Moreover, this decision is being supported by most members of the US Congress. That's why President Biden should allow Ukraine to strike deep inside Russia with Western-made weapons. However, now it seems to be more unlikely as we are moving forward the US, we are moving closer to the US general elections. That's why now it's look more unlikely for President Biden to do so. But there is a big hope in Ukraine that the new US administration would change the course of this war, would turn the tide into Ukraine's favor, and would allow Ukraine to strike deep inside Russia with Western-made weapons to finally end the war in Ukraine. That's a part of President Zelensky's plan to end the war in Ukraine, to try to put more pressure on Kremlin by using long-range strikes on Russian soil, put more pressure on Kremlin to force Putin to negotiate with Ukraine in good faith. And this plan would help Ukraine to end the war, but it is impossible to realize this plan, to do this plan without the willingness from the US President Joe Biden. It is impossible for Ukraine to win this war, to force Putin to negotiate without the important decision from the White House and from the United States government. That's all for today. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, stay with us on YouTube, and glory to Ukraine.